This framework outlines a developmental cycle of identity and awareness, a path through which perception, cognition, and intuition evolve in harmony. At each stage, you encounter a distinct mode of being, shaped by how you sense, think, and feel. These elements, perception, the outer world, cognition, the structure of thought and intuition, inner knowing, interact in complex, shifting ways that shape your understanding of self and reality. Each stage represents a positively balanced state, an evolving expression of conscious integration. You begin with coexistence, a simple, unified awareness, and proceed through increasingly intricate phases of growth, from reinforcement and logic to spontaneity, depth, coherence, resonance, unity, and ultimately, meaningful integration. Each stage refines how you relate to yourself and the world, developing your capacity for insight, adaptation, and wisdom. But growth is not linear or smooth. At every level, there is a glitch, a disruption that reveals limitations in your current way of knowing. These glitches are not failures, but necessary thresholds. They signal that it's time to shift, to deepen your understanding, and to prepare for a higher form of integration. Rather than falling back, each glitch propels you forward into the next phase. The cycle is spiral in nature. You revisit earlier stages, but with new depth and maturity each time. This recursive evolution fosters a resilient, evolving identity, one capable of holding complexity, contradiction, and transformation. By journeying through these stages, you come to know yourself not as a fixed point, but as a living process of unfolding awareness, ever becoming, ever integrating, ever returning, but always ascending. In the first stage, you find yourself newly awake to life, sensing, thinking, and feeling all at once. Your identity emerges as pure presence, aware, thoughtful, and intuitively connected, experiencing a simple harmony in everyday moments. Life is immediate, rich, and complete. Yet soon something disrupts this gentle balance. Perhaps perception becomes distorted or limited, intuition grows uncertain, or your thoughts become confused or overly complicated. This glitch disturbs the effortless flow of coexistence. Anxiety or doubt arises, and you sense the need to focus more clearly, to establish order. Driven by discomfort, your mind seeks a new stability, one that reinforces clarity rather than simply relying on it. Now, awareness becomes developmental. You begin actively attending, systematically structuring experiences, and anticipating possibilities. Your identity here is dynamic and evolving. You sense yourself becoming more skilled, confident, and capable with each reinforcing experience. Eventually, a glitch appears. Maybe your intuition anticipates incorrectly, reinforcing false patterns, or cognition solidifies into rigid beliefs. You notice a troubling cycle of confirmation bias or repeated mistakes. Realizing this feedback loop can trap rather than liberate, you're forced into deeper reflection, seeking clearer, more reliable ways to establish truth and meaning. Entering this stage, your identity feels mature, rational, and intentional. You rely on a clear causal understanding. Experiences or perception lead to interpretation, which is cognition, and finally to moments of realization, known as intuition. Life makes sense logically. Your decisions feel reasoned and well supported, but logic can glitch. Intuition might prematurely leap ahead, distorting reality, or cognition might impose false explanations retrospectively. You recognize that reason alone can mislead, rationalizing illusions instead of clarifying truth. Feeling the instability of linear causality, your mind seeks another form of understanding, one allowing for spontaneous insight beyond rigid logic. Identity here is intuitive and responsive. You trust spontaneous perception or noticing to spark insights, or leaping and validate these afterward with thoughtful reflection, which is confirming. This stage feels vibrant, innovative, and flexible. You're open to unexpected flashes of insight, yet glitches occur when spontaneous leaps misfire. Your intuitions become unreliable, triggering illusions or rash judgments. Cognition tires from continuously rationalizing inconsistent experiences. Uncertainty arises. Intuition alone feels dangerously ungrounded. This instability compels you toward more cumulative, careful approaches to understanding, integrating experience systematically rather than spontaneously. Your identity now embraces a layered depth. You directly experience, which is perception, reflect deeply, known as cognition, and intuitively integrate both. Life feels richly meaningful, every moment layered with past wisdom and present insight. You sense yourself becoming profoundly integrated. Still, inclusivity has glitches. Reflection can detach from lived reality, or your intuition may fail to integrate experiences coherently. Moments of existential confusion emerge, making integration seem superficial or hollow. You sense a need for more dependable grounding, stable meanings that emerge from alignment rather than mere accumulation. At the next stage, your identity emerges strongly only when your direct sensing, or immediate sensibility, aligns perfectly with your internal sense of importance, creating meaningful coherence. Life feels right when experience and meaning match perfectly, but glitches arise. Coherence fails if you can't perfectly align intuition and perception. Life becomes conditional and fragile. Experiences that don't immediately resonate seem meaningless, while significant moments are overlooked because they don't fit existing frames. Seeking more robust flexibility, you yearn for a dynamic structure where elements mutually support rather than restrict each other. Your identity feels alive with harmonic resonance. Intuition, perception, and cognition mutually enhance one another. Each aspect emerges naturally from the interplay of the others. You feel energized, adaptable, deeply attuned. Life seems spontaneously meaningful from all angles, yet even harmony glitches. If resonance breaks down, you spiral into dissonance, feeling disconnected, confused, or existentially scattered. You lose the sense of what matters most, awareness becomes fragmented, and you question your very grounding. Driven by the pain of dissonance, your mind seeks a way to reinforce and anchor all aspects simultaneously. Here, identity feels secure, self-assured, fully unified. Perception or orientation, intuition or participation, and cognition or organization activate and support one another automatically. Life feels purpose-driven and unified, allowing decisive and coherent action. But glitches occur. When even one aspect falters, the entire triad risks divergence. You lose direction, participation becomes empty, or organization breaks down entirely. This creates sudden uncertainty or paralysis. The identity you trusted feels brittle, easily fragmented. In seeking more adaptable resilience, your awareness opens to the value of partial states, combinations, and flexible exclusions. Your identity now fluidly recombines aspects of perception, cognition, and intuition, adeptly adjusting to new conditions by temporarily emphasizing or suppressing elements as needed. Life feels skillful and strategically flexible, capable of handling complexity and uncertainty. Yet flexibility can glitch into division. When recombinations fail to cohere, you experience internal splits or contradictions. Important insights become inaccessible, intuition feels out of touch, cognition becomes abstract. Sensing fragmentation, you yearn for simpler associative patterns, quick and intuitive connections that bypass complexity. Identity at this stage feels natural, effortless, intuitive. Your responses, cognition to life's cues, perception, intuition pairings, flow smoothly, automatic, and unforced. Life feels spontaneous, harmonious, comfortably aligned with intuition. Yet glitches in association emerge. Automatic responses become erroneous, intuition misreads cues, or associations lead to prejudiced, irrational, or harmful interpretations. Identity feels untrustworthy, habits and biases become obstacles. You recognize the need for conscious reflection and integration, where identity can integrate intuition and perception into deliberate, meaningful outcomes. At last, identity attains maturity and wisdom. You consciously integrate perception, the other, intuition, the self, and cognition, the synthesized outcome, into a coherent, meaningful worldview. Life feels rich with purpose. Self and world exist in balanced harmony. Yet even this highest integration can glitch. Otherness may overwhelm understanding, self-insight falters, or synthesis breaks down. You feel a painful disintegration, losing meaning and coherence. You find yourself returning to confusion. But now, having journeyed deeply, you are prepared to begin again, returning consciously to coexistence on a higher, more enlightened plane, carrying forward all the wisdom you've gathered. This cycle repeats, but never in vain. It spirals ever upward. Each return to confusion, dissonance, or fragmentation is not a regression, but a refinement. What once felt like collapse reveals itself as preparation. What seemed like error becomes the seed of transformation. With every pass through uncertainty, your identity is not erased, but reconstituted, wiser, more nuanced, more whole. You are never truly lost in this process. Even the glitches, the ruptures, contradictions, and breakdowns carry meaning. They are not obstacles to be avoided, but signals to be heeded. Each one marks the threshold of a new insight, a hidden depth becoming visible, a layer of self ready to be reawakened. This path is not about reaching a final state, but cultivating the capacity to move with change, to return again and again with greater grace and understanding. The journey through these stages is a continual unfolding of awareness, where identity becomes less a fixed structure and more a living response to truth. In the end, it is not certainty but integration that defines growth. Not a perfect answer, but a deepening ability to hold the complexity of being. You walk this spiral not just to find clarity, but to become it, steadily, consciously, and courageously. Each cycle is a return, but you do not return as the same person. You rise, carrying with you all you've seen, all you've learned, and all you've become.